Ready?
Yep.
All right, we are headed to Tampa. Guys, this is Carly. On an automated people mover. Let's go to a machine. And now we're at the robot check-in thing. This used to be somebody's job, Carly.
That's weird. It's weird to think about it that way.
We're headed to Tampa to look at how humans shape tools and then our tools shape us. Dear ancestors, I am sitting in the sky. In the late 1960s, anthropologist Edmund Carpenter was hired as a communications consultant for what was then the territory of Papua and New Guinea. Colonial administrators were seeking advice on how they might use radio, film, and television to educate and develop remote regions. It gave Carpenter what he called an unparalleled opportunity to step in and out of 10,000 years of media history. He recorded and created some of the most remarkable events in local media history, such as the first time people saw their own pictures, or heard their own voices. Carpenter says that when he first gave people a picture of themselves, they couldn't read them. To them, the pictures were flat, static, and lifeless, meaningless. Recognition gradually came into the subject's face, and fear. You can see it in the film footage. One man seems to become suddenly self-conscious about his hat. Another retreats to his house, alone, staring at his image for over 20 minutes. He argued that the Polaroid and other recording media created a situation in which, quote, for the first time, each man saw himself and his environment clearly, and he saw them as separable. He says that when he came back to one of these villages months later, he didn't recognize the place. Houses had been rebuilt in a new style. They carried themselves differently. They acted differently. In one brutal movement, they had been torn out of a tribal existence and transformed into detached individuals. Lonely, frustrated, no longer at home, anywhere. Such experiences left Carpenter disillusioned about the effects of technology on indigenous peoples, and concerned about the effects of media everywhere. I felt like an environmentalist hired to discover more effective uses of DDT, he lamented. I think media are so powerful they swallow cultures, he says. And media, he says, play no favorites. They conquer all cultures.
From the pain, I just wanna Spaceship Earth is a term invented by Buckminster Fuller in which he thought we should try to imagine our world as a spaceship, and that each one of us has a responsibility to the spaceship. The spaceship's actually really small and vulnerable, and we should do our best to live a good life and protect our little spaceship as it hurls around the sun.
The Riot is a time machine designed to take us through 40,000 years of media history. In the beginning, Neanderthals could not speak and struggled to work together to bring down a mammoth. But around the corner, creativity flourishes along with the first words. The ride speeds ahead to the early days of writing, as the Egyptians build an empire with hieroglyphics and papyrus. And then we enter Phoenicia. Phoenician merchants struggled with language barriers as they traded over great distances, so they developed a common alphabet. The alphabet spread to Greece, laying the groundwork for the birth of math, science, and education. With new knowledge and technologies, Rome built an empire. But it would soon fall. The books of Alexandria burned, lost forever. But knowledge would survive. Medieval scribes painstakingly copied scrolls and preserved them for future generations, while science and math flourished in the Islamic Golden Age. In the late 1400s, Gutenberg starts the mass production of books. Science, knowledge, and art flourish. The Renaissance and Enlightenment set the stage for the Industrial Revolution. This brings us mass printing, the birth of the newspaper. The telegraph is born, and for the first time, humans can send messages faster than they themselves can travel. The radio was not far behind. And then moving pictures. By the 1960s, there's a television in almost every home, and humans all over the world watch in awe as humans walk on the moon. The information revolution was upon us. The personal computer is born out of a modest garage, empowering us all to make our own media, connecting billions of people around the world. The bits of data flowing through the internet right now are the artifacts of a globally connected humanity. Our jobs, our loves, our lives happen here. The time machine presents us with an image of our precious planet and calls on us to do our best to take care of our little spaceship and its crew. Of course, there is an alternative view. In the beginning, humans were one with nature. They lived, worked, and struggled together. They made pictures on cave walls that celebrated these connections and honored their world. Every new technology has had the potential to allow us to become more connected, but they also allow us to disconnect. When the television came into our homes, we rearranged the furniture to face the box in the corner, rather than each other. And now many of us spend the vast majority of our days alone, staring at a screen. Seymour Papert once said that the internet represents the single most astounding knowledge machine ever invented. But it only works if you have good questions. Without questions, it's the world's most seductive distraction device. As technologies have progressed, we are faced with an array of new and challenging questions. We are more prosperous than ever, but at great cost to our spaceship, which is heating up and losing fuel. We have enough food for everyone on the spaceship, yet many members of our crew are starving. We are more connected than ever, yet often feel and act more disconnected. Edmund Carpenter was deeply concerned about his media experiments and how they transformed the cultures he studied. Does anyone really have the right to do this to another human being, he wondered. But then he asked us to reflect on our own realities. What about the new media and technologies that millions of people encounter daily? How are they changing us?
Welcome to the future. Or should I say, your future.
Carpenter was unwilling to blindly celebrate the future. He wanted to ask hard questions. What does it really mean to have self-driving cars, screens everywhere, and the ability to enter any virtual reality of our choosing? How will it change our society, our psychology, our economy? How will it change us? That's the real reason I'm here in Florida. My student Satya is finishing up his PhD, asking just these questions.
Hello.
Hey Raj, I'm here outside the lobby. Yeah.
I'm excited and also a little bit nervous, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming for the defense. It's a great honor to be presenting my last 6 years of work.
This is the front line of one of the world's biggest and most important battles, cybersecurity.
This is not a technical problem, this is a human problem. Our goal was to first study humans in natural settings, not in the laboratory. And that's exactly what anthropologists do.
So Satya took a job as a real security analyst and started doing real participant observation.
But then he realized this job is so repetitive. And it came as a surprise. I was spending 10 minutes on each alert. I was just doing this. Get the alert, get the data, and then put in the ticket. Do it again. And this is what happened. Remember, unlike physics, we don't even know what the variables are here. Like, why are people doing certain things? And human variables are very hard to predict. When we started doing this, I had I would say, I don't know if it's the right word, it's like a spaghetti of causal effect going on in the paper. And Dr. Vash was with me, and we were really going through multiple rounds of the coding process. But then we looked for patterns. We started seeing that there is an interlinked causality like this. And finally, we realized it's a cycle.
We found that workers were often treated as if they had low skills, asked to use scripts, which required no creativity, and therefore did not allow them to grow. Stuck doing the same thing over and over again, workers soon burned out. When workers follow scripts, their work can be made into scripts, automated.
But our goal was something additional, that we want to intervene and then develop tools and algorithms.
Satya developed a new tool that could do a lot of the low-skilled work that workers were required to do.
It was initially 10 minutes per alert before the tool was deployed, but now I was spending 10 seconds.
This freed them up to do other, more meaningful work. Automation leads to big change. This can be for the better or the worse. We may be creating new and more meaningful jobs, but we might also be eliminating jobs. This used to be somebody's job, Carly.
That's weird.
This video isn't about how automation is bad, rather that automation is inevitable. It's a tool to produce abundance for little effort. We need to start thinking now about what to do when large sections of the population are unemployable through no fault of their own. What to do in a future where, for most jobs, humans need not apply.
What do you guys think? Does this seem plausible overall to you? Like when it says 45% of the workforce could be unemployed.
I think those 45% that were listed on the video can be automated. Maybe they should be automated because people who are doing those jobs can do something more interesting that create some sort of purpose for their life.
There's this idea that we identify by the professions we choose. It's a kind of industrial revolution idea, right? Before that, if you think about farming days, people didn't think of themselves as, oh, who am I? I'm a farmer. No, they thought of themselves in some other social construct. So I think that is what is going to change. When the robots take over these jobs, we're no longer so attached to the kinds of work we do to earn our living, that we'll think of ourselves in entirely new ways.
So we have been tying a big part of our purpose of life to employment. And that's why it's so scary to say, oh, we're out of job. But humans, we live our life for a purpose. And maybe employment is not the purpose of life, but we still find a way that we live our life meaningfully.
As I reflected on Simon's words, I was reminded of Satya. Combining anthropology and computer science required that he become an expert in both. It took years. One of his professors asked him how he endured it.
What kept you on?
I don't know. I mean,
You could have switched gears, switch advisors.
This has helped me see things differently, not just in professional life, and personally, and because all of us see different people, meet different personalities, and we often forget and see things from our own perspective. And it's very hard to step in from other person's shoes and have empathy and see things from the way they see it. And empathy is a fundamental to doing anthropological research. Like, if you don't have that, then you'll always be looking down upon people, or you think this is the best way to do it.
Satya passed his defense, of course. His parents flew in from India for the occasion.
Oh my goodness.
Paint hand painted.
And we all went out to celebrate.
A little grub worm.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
And that's where I was reminded again of the joys of anthropology, of asking questions, making connections, and trying new things.
Satya never tries
You have to try.
It's the rite of passage.
It's okay.
Yes, now you're an anthropologist.
Technology can have a powerful dehumanizing effect if we let it. But it can also bring us together. We live in interesting times.